Hey y'all, my name is Shana Jane, a certified sobriety health and wellness coach with 14 years of experience in the treatment industry, and also my own history with substance abuse. As the founder and CEO of Controlled Chaos, I've made it my mission to provide a supportive community for those facing alcoholism and addiction. This podcast is a real, no nonsense exploration of life in sobriety. No sugarcoating, just real, honest conversations. Life after addiction can be a crazy, wild ride. And here at Controlled Chaos, we're here to tackle it head on. From navigating relationships to finding purpose, we're your lifeline in chaos. Let's dive into the real challenges of sobriety and carve out our path together. I love y'all mucho. Let's go.
Welcome to Controlled Chaos. I am Shana. Dr. Akanni, you want to go ahead and introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about you?
Yes. So, hello. Thank you for having me. My name is Dr. Akanni. I am a physical therapist. I'm a fitness nutrition coach. I help busy professional women drop 2, 3 dress sizes without wasted time or confusion, and ultimately improve their energy. I've been doing this for almost a decade now. I've been in the game for a while, and I've seen the transition. And when I first started, I was in person. Now I'm fully remote online. And the goal it's a new year. So the goal is to help 3,000 women this year ultimately change their lives. Yeah, everyone has their external goals, but I really focus on like the internal. How do you feel about yourself? What does your markers look like? Your lab values? What does your health actually look like? So that's who I am.
I love it. So one thing that I think has been a question is, where did you get this, the why for wanting to work with women so closely?
So for me, in the beginning, I was working with both men and women. And
Mhm.
then over time, like for some reason, men never gravitated towards me. And I had a bunch of female clients, was hearing the same problems, going through the same things. So I just dialed in. And I wanted to focus. I was going to work with those who needed the most help. And it just resonated easiest because I grew up with all women. There's me, I have my 2 little brothers, but I have all my cousins are women. It was me and my mother. And I've seen some of the health struggles that they've gone through, whether it's obesity, diabetes, high blood pressure, et cetera. And seeing their struggles, it kind of hit home for me. So now it's like, okay, I've seen you all go through it. Let me learn a little more about this thing. And I always wanted to be a physical therapist, and it's just an easy tie-in. And now I can use my medical background with fitness, understanding people, and then make it all make sense.
Yeah. And I think that's really cool that you have kind of a mix of everything. And that was one of the reasons why I started following you, is because
Yeah.
I think there's like a good mix of, yeah, you need to work out. Yes, you need to eat right, but also you need to change the things that are going through your head or the things that you really believe, right? So can you tell us a little bit about how that kind of factors in?
When it comes to like changing your mindset, it goes back to the first question that you asked me, like, what is the why? Because
Right.
I see it all the time. If someone has a goal of, let's say, in a couple months, you're going on vacation and you want to look good for vacation, you'll get in shape. You'll figure it out. You'll all of a sudden go on a diet. You're all of a sudden going to the gym because you want to get in shape. But when we don't have a target, that's why I tell people, give yourself a target, figure out what the underlying why is. For some, it could be just, I want to feel better about myself. Like when I go in the closet, I hate all my options. It's not because I don't have good options, it's because I don't like how I look in those options. Okay, that's your why. Now let's start working towards that. And the tangible things is pick one piece of clothing. When I wore this in January, I hated it. It's March, starting to fit a little better, starting to feel a little better. I'm feeling better. So everyone needs to figure out their why. Once you figure out the why, the motivation, all of that stuff comes. But I think a lot of us just hop in and it's just external, and it's just a number that we're chasing. And it's when in most cases it's deeper than that.
Yeah, and that's totally true. So one thing that I know is that it used to be like you would always hear like don't lift weights and blah 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 because you're going to be bulky and look kind of like manly-ish and whatever. But recently you hear a lot about like lifting weights more for women and things like that.
Yeah.
How does that help you in the weight loss, but also just like looking better? Like why do they recommend it now?
So every decade, especially when it comes to women, every decade you all lose a certain percentage of muscle mass. On top of
Mhm.
that, your bone density decreases with age. So exercise and lifting weights, et cetera, specifically lifting weights, helps to combat that. Because one thing, your muscle density gets better. You're laying down bone, if you want to put it that way, with exercise. So it's increasing your bone density. You're getting more muscle mass, and once you start adding and eating protein and all that, so it overall helps you combat some of the things that come with age. So that's one of the benefits. Other than that, like, you're stronger because you ever see our older generation, how they're frail and hunched over.
Mhm.
Get to combat that because gravity will take a toll, life will take a toll. But as we're stronger or working on our posture, our body's more capable of dealing with the things that come as we age.
Yeah, that's definitely one thing I've noticed working. I work in a nursing home currently as a CNA, and it's like I used to when I was younger work in a nursing home, and now I'm like, gosh, I feel so much less strong than I was when I was younger. And
Yeah.
you would think that you get like stronger as you get older, but no, I think that I've lost that because of not really like working out or doing things like that. So it is something you start to think about as you get older, right?
Yeah. And people don't realize, like, going back to, okay, yes, we have the external goal, but something as simple as when you're 60, are you able to get on the ground and get back up? Because there's your balance. Like when I was in the clinic, you have patients who had a fall and couldn't get back up. And they have
Hmm.
a higher mortality rate as you age because hip replacements, the ones who fall and break their hip, those are serious things. So you want to make sure, okay, if I have a fall when I'm 60, let's say I just trip or something, am I able to get myself back up? Can I get on the ground and play with my grandkids? Can I sit in a chair and stand up without having to use my hands? Little
Yeah.
things that we often overlook, but right now we're young. We feel we're fine. We can do those things fairly easy. As the years start to pack on, can we still do that? Because those are indicators, your walking speed, stuff like that are indicators for diseases. They're indicators for how healthy you are.
Yep. And I definitely see that because my dad is like 70 and he will like literally get on his bike and ride it backwards with my kids and have all kinds of fun, probably like run circles around me.
Yeah.
And then some of the people that I work in the nursing home with are like his age and not able to like bathe themselves or do anything for themselves. So it is, definitely how you take care of yourself. That's huge.
Yeah. Because we're all going to age. It's just, how do you want to age? Do you want to have this easier life where I'm still able to do for myself? I'm still able to move and walk and feel okay. Or I need a lot of assistance because I don't have the energy or the strength to do it anymore. And it gets harder as you get older. So it's rather get started now. It's different to say, I've been working out for a decade and I'm just maintaining versus I'm 60 and now I'm starting. It's going to be a lot harder to get started.
Yeah, definitely. So I work with a lot of people in sobriety recovery, as you know. And one of the big things that I hear people go through when they're getting sober is like loss of energy, motivation, and then like getting outside, working out, doing those things seem like a lot harder. So I hear you talk a lot about things that can help you to gain more energy. What
Mhm.
are those things?
Yeah. Well, one, it sounds counterproductive, but exercise will help you gain more energy. And why, if I use this example, let's say right now, sitting here, your heart rate is in the 90s. Just sitting here resting. Your resting heart rate is in the 90s. Your body's using about 100 calories of energy. When you go exercise, your heart rate gets to the 160 and you burn 300 to 400 calories of energy. Now,
Right.
your body gets used to working that hard. Now, when we're doing regular things like just sitting, it requires less energy. Your heart rate is better. Your heart is pumping better. Your blood flow is better. So it's requiring less energy to do the simple task. So ultimately, you have more energy because your body, imagine you just went to the gym and you squatted your body weight and you're
Mhm.
feeling amazing and how much energy that takes, how you feel doing that. When you're sitting in a chair, it's going to feel like nothing. I just squatted me. I feel perfectly fine. So that's one way. With movement, it helps to increase your energy. Another thing, really taking hold of your nutrition and seeing calories wise first. Am I getting the adequate amount of calories to sustain? There's something called a BMR, which is your basal metabolic rate, which is how much calories your body needs just to sustain its own energy without any extra movement, sustain organ function, etc. Am I at least hitting that number? Because if I am, okay, I'm giving my body its basic needs when it comes to a number. Then we go into the quality of, okay, am I adding oats, oatmeals, berries, bananas, energy boosting foods, quinoa? Am I adding those things to my diet to help from a nutrition standpoint boost my energy as well? And then sleep, water, hydration, the things we often overlook.
Right. And one thing I heard you talk about too, which I thought was cool, because a lot of times when we're tired or we're like low energy or whatever, we'll like stay in bed. And I think I heard you say, like, if you make sure that you're really only in bed when it's time to go to sleep, then you're more likely to sleep well and be less tired too. Hey.
Yeah. If we're looking at someone's like circadian rhythm, sleep wake cycles, your body needs a moment to wind down, then it needs a moment to rise up. That's why if you ever wake up and you feel okay, but you're used to, you hit the snooze button, you go back to sleep, you wake up and you feel more tired because you've inhibited your body's rise cycle. And now your body has to go back to the sleep state and then re-ramp up back to that wake state. So what I typically suggest for people, especially when it comes to going to sleep, get consistent with the times that you go to sleep. Like if I know around 9:30, 10 o'clock, I'm trying to get to bed by 10:30 every day. Okay, at 10 o'clock, I'm starting to wind down. So my body can get prepared for it. Because you have some people, me, once it hits like 9:30, I'm starting to get tired because I usually go to sleep around that time.
Right.
You have people who can't fall asleep till 12. Sometimes they'll be tired at 9, where it's all over the place because your body can't find a rhythm. So now your sleep wake cycle is thrown off. It's hard for your body to get into rhythm. And typically you have to be asleep for it's 3 to 4 hours to get into REM sleep, which is your deep sleep, where muscle recovery happens, where all the benefits of sleep really occur. But a lot of us don't get into that, especially if you have an irregular sleep pattern. So that's why you can wake up feeling more tired. How I look at it is the bed is only for sleeping and whatever else your spouse may be doing. So that's how I go about it. And then when we're not in bed, that way when your body gets in, it's like, oh, I know I'm about to go to sleep.
So if you're doing those things like eating right, sleeping when it's time to sleep, and exercising, you should feel more motivation throughout the day.
I would say you should feel better and more energetic. The motivation, for me, like motivation comes in doing the thing. Because if you're waiting for the motivation I think we're confusing inspiration with motivation. You can be inspired to do something, but you still have to go do it. And then in the doing, you'll be more motivated because maybe you start to see more results, or you're starting to learn more about yourself in the process. I hear it all the time. How do I get motivated? How do I get consistent? You just got to start doing it and you'll figure it out as you go. We're waiting for the magic answer because everyone wants to lose 30 pounds in 30 days, and it doesn't work like that. It's taking you, for some people, 3 years or a whole year to gain the weight, to develop the habits. It's not going to all be changed in 30 days.
So as far as like sugar cravings, like wanting to eat things that aren't necessarily, super nutritious for you, how do you deal with, I know like people say, it's okay if you eat like a donut but what about people that are like actually craving like a lot of sugar and things that aren't good for them? What do you say to them to like kind of combat that? Or how do you change how you're eating when you've been eating that way and your body's kind of craving it?
Yeah. I'd say, well, one, addition before subtraction. That's one way to look at it. And then two, I was reading this thing. When your body's craving something, sometimes could be because we're deficient in certain nutrients.
Okay.
So taking a look, getting a lab done to see, okay, what nutrients am I deficient in? To see if that is the thing that we're addressing. Or if we're looking at hormones, if you're not getting enough sleep, your craving levels are a little higher because you have higher cortisol, which can lead to higher cravings. So it could be a sleep thing. If I'm not getting enough sleep, now I have all these cravings. Or is my diet overly restrictive and storing off my hunger hormones like ghrelin and leptin? So now my cravings are higher. My appetite sensation is significantly different because I'm overly restricting my diet. So looking at that as well of, okay, looking at the different factors, because sometimes cravings can be indications of other things. And there's other times where you just have a craving because you were triggered. Like the commercials, they're doing what they're doing on purpose, where How many
Right.
times were you not hungry? Then you see something on the commercial. Oh, I want that because there's a trigger. It could be emotional, could be a memory, could be anything, right? So looking at why is this trigger occurring? But if we go back to, I say indulge in the craving because to a certain extent. I saw a reel and it was like someone was craving a cookie. They ate then instead of just having the cookie, they ate an apple, a rice cake. It was an apple, a rice cake. They had a smoothie, and then they ended up eating all the cookies. So it
Right.
was like you're trying to work yourself around, and you ended up eating way more calories than if you would have just had the cookie. Like,
Just do it.
yeah, there's a balance. Unless you're training for something, 9 times out of 10, most of the people, especially the women that I work with, you are regular people. We're everyday people who just want to be in shape. We're not elite
Right.
athletes who have to have a strict diet because we're trying to get to this number by this day because I'm weighing in. No, you just try to have the energy to go pick up your kids and run around and feel good. Have the
Right.
cookie will create balance around it.
So say your wife wanted to lose, I don't know, 10 pounds, which she's beautiful. I'm sure she doesn't. But say she wanted to lose 10 pounds. What would be the first three things you would tell her to do?
Hmm. It's different when you actually like know the ins and outs of what someone does every day. The first thing though, because the principles are the same across the board, start by
Mhm.
increasing your daily movement. So whether that is you're going for a walk, you go on a treadmill, or you take more frequent rest breaks throughout your day from work and just stand, walk, and go do something. So I'll start there, especially because in her case, she's going to be postpartum. So
Right.
start walking. Let's get your heart rate back normal. Let's get your blood pressure back regulated. Let's get you feeling normal again. And then start lifting weights. But lifting weights looks different for everybody. Easier cases, especially when people first start at the gym, use machines. Because machines, it's a fixed motion. You can't hurt yourself unless you're putting a bunch of weight on there. It's a fixed motion versus dumbbells, barbells. You can move, there's ways that it can go. So I would tell her to start there next. I would say go in there, pick 4 to 5 different body parts. So I always tell people if you're going to go to the gym and you're not ready to purchase a program or get a coach or anything, fine. When you go to the gym Monday, do all the muscles in the front of your body. Find the machines that work for that. Wednesday, all the muscles in the back of your body. Friday, all the muscles that you missed that you didn't hit yet. Or if you want to do glutes again, by all means, go do glutes again. And there's your workout plan in the beginning because it'll get you in the ropes. You'll start feeling different. And then when it's time for you to get a coach so you can get more structured, that's where they come in. So that would be the second thing. Then the third thing, oh, this is what I was saying earlier, addition before subtraction. So it can be overwhelming to go in and say, okay, I got to cut out my carbs. I got to cut out my sugar. I got to cut out, well, when it's easier to say, okay, this is my diet. I'm going to add more vegetables to lunch. This week, my focus, add vegetables to lunch. Next week, do the exact same thing. Okay, now before you know it, eating vegetables at lunch is a habit. It's normal now. All right, now I'm going to stack something else on top of that. I'm going to not have sugar on Tuesday, extra sugar on Tuesdays. So now we're just habit stacking. And before you know it, you're pushing out the things that you would have tried to force out in the beginning. Now it's starting to feel more natural to not do those things because you feel different, you're looking different, and you want to help your progress.
And that was something I really liked that you talked about is like, even when you do add in changes, kind of adding them in slowly so that you're not, trying to keep up with something that you're not going to do, like just not eating sugar on Tuesday or
Yeah.
whatever. I thought that was cool because that's like a really small change that seems more doable than like all week or whatever. It seems like a lot.
You got to find a way to decrease the resistance because when you tell somebody to exercise, they're going to tell you all the excuses why they can't exercise. Okay, let's figure out what can we do. You like listening to podcasts. Cool. When you listen to your podcast, go for a walk. Now you're doing something you enjoy while doing something you don't enjoy, and it will feel less. There'll be less resistance there. There's other things like trying to figure out, I'm going to make a post soon talking about time, where everyone always says we don't have enough time. But if you really look at it, there's 168 hours in a week. Once you break down all the stuff and factor in, there's still like around 15 hours that we just have that we do nothing with. We can spare.
Scroll on Instagram.
Yeah, we can spare 7 out of those 15 to do something that helps with our health. It's just when you break it down for people to see, dang, this is actually where all my time is going, it makes a difference.
This is how you know that I don't work out ever, is you said, do all the muscles in the front of your body and then in the back. And I was like, what is in the front and the back? I always
Yeah.
think of it like your arms, your legs, your butt. I don't know.
Yeah,
That's it.
yeah, yeah. See, you can look at it that way. I look at it as how feeling, because I can say go work on your arms, but then people get in their head of, okay, what part of my, what should I be doing? Should I do this part of my arm or this part of my arm? So I try to make it simple and feeling of, okay, if I'm working on all the muscles in the front of my body, at least I know when I do an exercise, I should feel it in the front. So bicep curls, okay, I feel it here. I'm doing something for my legs. I feel it in the front of my thigh. Oh, my abs, I feel it there, my chest. So that's the way I look at it, of pointing them to a feeling rather than like muscles.
Okay, so I know one thing that we talked about before was kind of like when you're not feeling so great about things or you're feeling like depressed, anxious, whatever. What are ways that you feel like you bring yourself up when you're feeling that way? Because I know it's something that you've kind of struggled with.
So I just go to the gym, honestly. That's like for me, yes, I love the aspect of like getting in shape, feeling good, looking good, etc. But the gym for me is an escape. Because I used to play basketball. And when you play basketball, you can't have your phone in your hand because you can't play basketball and have your phone in your hand. You zone out. When you're in those lines, like athletes say it all the time, when you get in the lines, nothing else matters at that point because you're focused on the task. And it gives your brain a moment to kind of like decompress from everything, kind of forget for a moment, and you kind of dive into the thing. It's the same thing with fitness. Granted, now I do have my phone in my hand still, but there's times where I'll just put it down and it allows me to just have a pause and feel good. Because there are feel good hormones that get released while you're exercising. So that's my escape. That's what I do for the most part. Sometimes I will journal and it's nice to get the thoughts in my head out, whether I write it in my phone or I write it down on like paper. But yeah, that's me.
So speaking of journaling, that's like one thing we're taught a lot to do in sobriety or recovery. Like when you wake up in the morning, kind of get with God, journal, do your thing. So I actually ordered your book. I haven't got it yet.
Exciting. Yes. And so it's on pre-sale right now. The book goes live on the 12th, and then that's when they start shipping out all the copies and everything. But thank you for getting that.
Yay. So speaking of your book, it has some journaling and stuff in there. Tell us about it. What is it? Because kind of connecting all that stuff together seems like a really cool like way to go about things for me. So
Yeah.
that's about it. Not just because it was.
I appreciate that. It's called Graceful Gains, Daily Reflections for Faith and Fitness. My focus on Instagram, I do focus a lot on the fitness aspect of what are the exercises you're supposed to be doing, how to habit stack, etc. But in the book, there's one thing to say I have this goal and not really track how we're going about it. When it comes to the exercise piece, you're going to get tired of flipping through and doing the reflections at the end of each week and saying, wow, I've done nothing this week. Another week, I've done nothing. So the goal of the book when it comes to the fitness side is to get you to start prioritizing yourself. In the beginning of the book, I give you some questions to ask your doctor. That way we know from a health standpoint, how am I doing? What is my cholesterol levels like? What does my A1C look like? So having the questions that you can ask your doctor, and then I tell you why these questions are important. That way going in, you're more armed and you can have better conversations with your doctor. So we're focusing from a health standpoint, making sure we're checking the box there. Fitness, making sure we're doing something to get there. And then kind of forcing people to plan, because there's a part where it's like a grocery list and writing out your grocery list. And I shaped each box on purpose to make sure that for this thing, it's a smaller category. For this thing, it's a larger category because we're supposed to focus more on those things. When it comes to the faith aspect of the book, every day there's a daily devotional and there's a word of encouragement and a scripture so that we can start our day in the word, start our day getting centered. And then I just have you reflect. One of the reflections is looking at your habits, your head, your heart, and your hands. Because what we think ultimately affects how we feel, and then ultimately affects how we, the habits and the things that we show up in the world. So looking at all those different aspects. And I'm super excited about the book because I think it's a lot of layers that ultimately help people become whole, not just externally looking good, but become whole.
Super excited about getting it because I feel like, again, one of the reasons why I started following you to begin with was, you know, it's easy. I've lost a lot of weight, gained a lot of weight, a million I know we've talked about this before, and it's easy to say like, do this, do that, but your you is still with you, right? Like
Yeah.
just say about drinking or using drugs, alcohol, they say that too. You know, you can move away or you can do this or that, but you still bring yourself with you. So
Yeah.
like what's going on in your head that makes you continue to make the same, I guess, moves all the time, right? That
Yeah.
continue to get to a place where you don't want to be.
Yeah. Yeah, we all have a factory reset, who we want to be. We're at war with two people, who we are and then who God wants us to be. And we're always at war with those two people. And it's always funny, especially when it comes to weight loss, how we have habits that got us to the point that we have a weight loss goal in the first place. And what we'll do, we'll work real hard for the week and then reward ourselves with the habit that got us to that point in the first place. So we'll have a great week and then we'll reward ourselves with a cheat meal. So
Yeah.
your reward is the negative habit that we're trying to overcome. And it's always
Hmm.
funny to look at it in that aspect. But I think at the end of the day, like how you mentioned, you sometimes you lose weight, then you gain weight. That's normal. That's life. And I think
Yeah.
once we get to the point where we embrace that of, okay, when I gained weight, what was actually happening in my life? I didn't have
Hmm.
to exercise. I was stressed out, a lot of transition, a lot of things going on. My priorities were different. Okay, that's why I gained the weight. Now life is a little different. My priorities are a little different. Now I'm losing the weight. So we can start comparing the two because how they say comparison is a thief of joy. Like if we're going to compare the two places, we need to look at the full picture of why they shape out how they shape out. And in
Right.
the book, at the end of each week, I have you really take a look at where am I spending most of my energy.
Yeah.
You can see, because I did it myself, career skyrocketed, health was low sometimes, family was low sometimes. So now I'm being intentional with, okay, let's have some balance around the circle.
Right. And I know you had mentioned things like COVID, even for you, kind of had you change your habits a little bit, gain a little. And I think that was a thing for everyone, right? Like some people's jobs moved to home or
Yeah.
their jobs weren't a thing anymore. So like, you know, people were at home a lot more and kind of makes you not move as much as you used to and eat a lot more because you're bored.
Yeah, COVID really took a toll. It's still affecting a lot of people. Some people are still trying to get off their COVID weight gain. And whenever I do hear COVID, I always challenge people though. Because even with like moms, when moms come to me and they say, I gained all the weight after I had my kid, and I always ask, how old is your kid now? And if they say anything past 2 years, then I'm like, we can't use that as an excuse anymore. Because I understand, especially first year after pregnancy, you are a different person. Trying to raise your kid, find yourself again, I understand that. Second year, similar thing. But at some point, we do have to make a decision that I have to be intentional about getting me back. Same thing,
Right.
COVID. We're in 2024 now. It's coming on the fourth year of this. We can't utilize COVID because at some point we always forget the words, but we can't be victims to like the environment. At some point, we have to take hold of our lives. At some point, we have to say, okay, enough is enough. Yes, COVID happened, but I'm living in it now. I can't just keep saying, I work from home. I don't have time. You had the time. If anything, we should have more time now because
Right.
the commute time is taken away. So you have more time now. So the 30 minutes that it used to take to get to work, to go to work, get back, get dressed to go to work, because I know we're in our pajamas. So now you have about an hour. Use that hour for yourself, but we may not look at it that way.
Yeah, and I mean, that's really true. I think sometimes we can't always change our environment or like what we're going through or whatever. So you kind of do have to like get up and choose to do something different, you know, which isn't always the easiest option. But
Yeah,
if you want something different, you kind of got to do it, right? My
yeah,
mom always tell me what like insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting
exactly.
results. And I used to get so mad.
Yeah,
So that was over drinking and using, but I used to be like, you think I like doing this? And she's, well, you like something about it
yeah.
because you keep doing it, right?
Hmm.
Okay. But now it actually makes a lot of sense because it is after a while that you're making a choice, even if you don't want to look at that, right?
And yeah, when we talk about like changing our environment, I think everyone always looks at just the physical, but
Mhm.
sometimes it's like, where do you spend your time? I was talking to a friend about this. For me, when it came to business, I was a physical therapist. I still am, but I was in the clinic. Everyone in the clinic is talking about clinic related things of, yeah, I want to become a clinic director and I want to grow in the company. I didn't want to do none of that. And
Right.
I couldn't relate, but I was in there. That was my physical environment. So what I would do when I get off of work, I'm listening to podcasts about growing your own business. I'm on YouTube, I'm reading, I'm learning. So I'm changing my mental environment. Like they're talking about this and they're over here, and I may be there, but mentally I'm somewhere else. So I think
Right.
we can do, especially when it comes to health, dive in, like learn about it. So what you learn, what we spend time with, and actually like water will grow. So if you know your nutrition isn't the best, take some time and listen to some podcasts about nutrition and healthy eating. Yes, it may be boring, but you may learn something in the process. Go on YouTube, watch healthy meal prep options. Take 5 minutes every day and learn something new about health because it'll make you ultimately healthier. Changing that environment and the things that you're seeing, especially because if you're going on, you calling your girls, you're not talking about that stuff. You're talking about brunch and all the other things that aren't necessarily conducive to our health.
Right. Yeah. And I think, even spending time, like you said, listening to podcasts or doing things like that is kind of cool because, like, I love to cook. And we've kind of been talking recently in my house that, like, all of us have kind of like gained some weight and whatnot. And my husband was saying the other day, like, and not even like in a bad way, but when you make a change, everyone will make a change because you're the one who does the grocery shopping, you're the one who
Yeah,
does the cooking, you're the one who, so like naturally everyone is going to kind of change how they're doing things, maybe not
yeah.
every, but if you're eating different, we're all eating different, right? So I've been like looking at recipes that are better and kind of looking at switching things out, and I think that's kind of true, as we can all make a little bit of a change even in our home, right?
Yeah, and I think what people run into is it feels overwhelming because it seems like there's just so much noise and there's so much to navigate, but we know what to do. It's just a matter of doing it. Like when it comes to cooking, yes, everything we eat with, because it's what we have access to, everything's not going to be perfect. Like, and I understand no one's going to eat berries and become vegan all of a sudden and everything is from the ground. I get that. It's just having balance, working on a little bit of portion control. Okay, if I'm gonna make chicken, rice, and something simple, chicken, rice, and broccoli, that's pretty healthy. There's nothing wrong with rice. Okay, I have my meal. I've seasoned it. I made it how I wanted. Now I'm gonna focus on my portion control. How much of that am I gonna have? And then I'm gonna move a little more. You just did something amazing for your health. You watched your portions, you watched your calories, you moved a little bit, you checked the box for that day. But I think we overcomplicate it of oh my gosh, it can't have red 40 in it, and it can't have this, and it can't have that. And it's like, you're going to stress yourself out.
Yeah, when you have too many rules and too many changes at once, I already know like I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to stick to that. Like when
Yeah.
I first got everybody would say, write down what you're eating and then you're going to know. And I started realizing like when I didn't like what I was eating, I just didn't write it down. And I'm like, who does that? Like you're
Yeah,
lying,
yeah,
like
yeah.
you're the only one who cares. Why are you? I just decided like, oh, I don't like that. So I'm not going to put that there. Well,
Yeah.
it's the purpose
Mhm.
sometimes.
And that's the beauty of our program, because there's checks and balances.
Mhm.
I have clients, all our clients, we have them input their meals and input their calories. And when they're doing that, one, they see it and then we see it, and we're able to give them feedback. And then I have another client right now specifically who doesn't input anything, but I see that
Mhm.
she works out every single day, but she's not losing weight. I know where the issue lies. There's a reason you're not inputting the foods because it's not aligning with where we need to be. And when we have conversations, it's like, from a movement standpoint, you're doing everything. Like your effort is there, but we need to clean up your nutrition. And she even knows it, that she needs to clean up her nutrition. She knows what the problem is. So it's like sometimes having other people around to tell you and show you, because I'm a person, I have all the data. I'm a screenshot and I'm gonna show it to you. And then you got to figure out what are we going to do? Are we going to do the necessary changes or are we just going to be stuck here and accept that this is where we're at? Because at some point there is a decision to be made.
Right. And I do think it's helpful having somebody else like be with you and kind of like walk you through the process. Now, you have like a few different programs. What do your programs kind of look like? I know there's different ones, but what do you kind of do within your programs?
Yes, that's a great question. So the different programs all, because there's different people that come with me, especially as my audience grows, everyone's in a different part of their journey. Wellness 365 is one of the newest programs we created, and it's for those who are one dipping their toe in and aren't really ready to fully commit, or it's someone who already has their flow and just needs a little bit of more guidance. Wellness 365 is where it's more do it yourself. You have your blueprint, you have your program, you go do your thing. I'll pop in periodically into the group chat to send an encouraging message, to check in, see if people have questions, and then I'm out of there. Because this one is more do it yourself, because the numbers, there's a lot of people in there. You can't be as intimate with that. Then we
Right.
have Essential Wellness and Wellness VIP. With those programs, that's where it's more hands-on. We only take 12 people a month for those programs because it's so hands-on. Myself, my nutritionist, we dive in with the clients in Wellness VIP. They work directly with me, and I'm overseeing their program. I'm customizing, I'm checking in weekly, making sure they have everything they need. Our nutritionist, she goes in, she's specialized in gut health. She's been a nutrition coach for over a decade as well. And she really goes in and just deep dives on everyone's nutrition. We do a health history in the beginning. Okay, I'm going to monitor over the course of time and give you adjustments. I focus more on the nutrition. I'm on the exercise. She's a nutritionist. Why wouldn't she? I let her do her thing when it comes to nutrition so that we're both operating in our expertise. And then we have a mindset coach as well who focuses on the mind, focuses on habits, focusing on the hurdles from a mental standpoint that are in our way. And she comes in and works with them as well. And then we have Essential Wellness, where it's one of my coaches who they're your main point of contact for that program. And they work through, and I oversee everything. So it's just meeting people at different points of their journey. Some people need the hands-on, and some people just need to do it yourself. Some people want to work directly with me. Some people are okay working with our coaches. So it just depends on where you are in your journey.
Definitely. I think it's cool that there's so many different aspects of the program just because, like you said, there are so many different personalities and people, kind of see things differently and work differently. And that's cool that they're able to kind of pick from it.
Yeah, and I think it's funny. I think the longer I do this, the more blunt and direct that I get, the further I'm in this. And I just always ask people, like, what are your expectations and what exactly do you need? And it's funny because most of the time people don't know that answer and they don't really know what they need. And then when you have the conversations, it's what type of person are you? Do you need hand holding, or can I just give you a blueprint and you go do your own thing? If you get a blueprint, you can succeed. Cool. This is the program I think is really good for you. But
Right.
you need a little more hands-on, you need some hand holding. And if no one's checking in on you, you're going to fall to the wayside. Okay, I think this is where you need to survive. But there's people who will come and just, they want you to do everything for them. And the beauty of what we do, all I'm doing is talking. like literally, I'm just talking and directing, but you have to do all the work. And I tell everyone, you're investing in yourself. We're just like guiding you there, but you're investing in yourself. If you're not going to put the level of effort, don't waste your time because you're going to be disappointed in the process. And I've seen it before where clients blame us, but when we
Yeah.
look at because the beauty of what we do, we see everything. When we look at their thing, you've only worked out once this month. You haven't input any of the nutrition. The last time you logged in the app was 3 weeks ago. This is why we're not where we are.
Right. Yeah. And that's kind of hard to look at from from your own standpoint, right? Because it's like, you don't want to say that you're not doing the work, but then again, you may not be doing the work, right?
Yeah. And it's the same with like business, because I'm in my 4th business coaching program, and they're all the same they're going to give you the thing. But I think we all want these quick fixes, like osmosis. As soon as I get in, it's all going to start clicking. It's like, no, you have to do the work. Like the last business coaching program I was in, the first one, it was 6 months and I really didn't get nowhere, but I did all the work, but I didn't see the result. And at that point, most people get discouraged and they stop. But I was like, I'm going to keep trying and keep doing. and I joined other programs. And eventually the things that I learned in the first one are coming to fruition now. And the same thing with fitness. It may not all happen how you want it to happen in the first couple weeks or the first couple months, but eventually something is going to click in the doing and the
Right.
consistency of the doing. We look at consistency like, oh yeah, I worked out all week. I'm consistent. No, let's do this for 2, 3 months. Then we're actually consistent because it takes minimum 4 to 6 weeks just to see anything.
Yeah, and I think you bring up a good point there because even, I went to rehab a few times and at first me or even my kids, right? They're like, well, if you just kept drinking or kept using after that, that was just a waste or whatever. But eventually I did get sober and get my life together and I started to realize like every time that was like a seed planted, right? And it may not have changed exactly then, but it
Yeah.
started to change my mind about myself, how I felt about myself and how I felt about life, right? So I took a little bit with me each time. And
Mhm.
even you mentioned business coaching. I just hired a business coach, so we're going to be starting next month. So I'm super excited. But I think, you start with taking like these master classes and then move on to actually thinking, okay, if I want to do something more, I really need somebody to work, hand in hand with me.
Yeah.
And I think that everything is like a seed planted, right? I've even seen you grow so much in the last year,
Yeah.
like huge. So,
Yeah, a lot has happened this past years, but it's funny. I was taking a moment to try to like sit down and reflect, and I'm just like, I was like, it's too much to reflect on. I'm just going, God, thank you. You're amazing. I'm super grateful for this year. Let's go on to, I think for me, I'm someone, it's hard for me to sit in my accomplishments too long.
mhm.
And I try to be more intentional about it in the standpoint of I'm going to celebrate for as long as it took me to get to the goal, but I
Yeah,
can't now. For some reason, I will achieve it. I'll be happy for the day. And then it's like, all right, now what's next? And
you have
sometimes, yeah, like the next thing. Like when we first hit, there was a phrase of the best moments of life are seconds right before you hit the goal, when you hit it, and then immediately right after. After that, it becomes like normal. And you kind of forget the excitement. Because I remember when we first hit 10K and 10K followers, I was so excited because I was chasing that goal forever. Now we can grow 10K followers in like 2 weeks and it doesn't feel like anything anymore. When we
Mhm.
hit 300K, I didn't even celebrate it. No, it was 200. I didn't even celebrate it or put anything out there because it was just like, oh yeah, this is normal now. So
I'm
I
just
try to,
to get to that point where I don't care about 10,000 followers.
because you after a while it looks good, but sometimes it doesn't change anything. Yeah, there's a lot more eyes. You're helping more people, and your what is it? Your kingdom is growing, which is good.
Mhm.
But sometimes the immediate thing doesn't happen. Like you'll
Like
get,
the gratification.
yeah, like my first 10K views on a video, nothing happened. I seen it, it did it, and I was like, oh, this is amazing. Nothing happened after that. I didn't make a single dollar. My life didn't change. I was like, okay, this was for nothing.
You're like, this is crazy.
Yeah.
No, grown into like a huge business and helping like a ton of people. So that is really cool. But I know it's harder to see it when you're in it. It feels like small changes, almost like when you're gaining weight, right? You don't notice, and all of a sudden you look and you're huge.
Mhm. Yeah, the micro changes. Yeah, because they say, what is it? It may not look like it. I always have all these quotes that come out of drawers, but I never remember the full thing. But each
Mhm.
day doesn't look different. But when you step back and look at the months and go macro, it's like, wow, a lot has changed. But it can feel like nothing's happening in the day to day because we're so familiar with it. And then once you step back, it's like your life is different.
Yeah, no, definitely. Well, do you have anything that you want to say to the viewers? Anything that we kind of didn't talk about that you want to touch on?
I think because it's a new year, as we go into this new year, I think the major thing, go slow with the process. I don't care what the goal is, whether you want to lose 1 pound or 100, be patient with the process. And yes, we have the number, be cautious of the number, but don't fixate on the number because at the end of the day, you just want to be healthy. You want to change your life. You want to transform not only your external, but your internal as well. Go slow with the process. Give yourself grace. Every week isn't going to be perfect, but do something every week. Some weeks you may not get to the gym, but you're eating healthier. Other weeks, your diet may look all over the place because you're on vacation, but you're at least walking every day and trying to get 10,000 steps. So understand consistency is going to vary, but give yourself grace. Don't do too much too soon because you'll stress yourself out. And then by February, you'll cancel your gym membership and we'll repeat 2023 where we need the goal again. So just give yourself some grace. And I think that is my takeaway. And then to follow me, I'm at Dr. Salako, Dr. Salako on every platform. I try to make it super simple. And yeah, that's me. I look forward to connecting.
All right. And your book is called what?
The book, Graceful Gains, Daily Reflections for Faith and Fitness. To get the book, if you go on Instagram or Facebook, on any post of mine, comment the word grace, and a automation will send you the link to get a copy, or you can just click the link in my bio on Instagram, and then you'll be able to access the book there as well.
Yay. Well, I just want to thank you for being like the most humble, semi-famous person ever for like, a redo, because last time I didn't record, I totally made a video for my viewers of me like, do I really have to call him and tell him?
That's funny.
You were so sweet to redo it. So thank you so much for coming to Controlled Chaos. And we love you here and hope to have you back.
Thank you for having me.